Welcome back to another episode of A Dark Cup of History during this spooky month of October. We're bracing...
We're off to a good start today. I will, caveat right now, the last episode was really quite heavy, and it was serious. That's the one that came out on the 2nd of October. So this one it's still a heavy subject matter and spooky, but we are having wine to take the edge off a little bit.
It's needed, so
yes.
We're embracing all things dark as autumn sets in and the nights draw out. We've already made your blood curdle with the story of Giles de Rais, like we just said, the prolific and horrific French serial killer. Now it's time to make you freeze with a walk on the paranormal side of life.
There are types of ghosts that pop up over and over again in various cultures, and we've already covered the concept of the Red Lady in a previous Dark Cup episode. This week's subject is one such entity, the Headless Ghost. We'll have thank you. We'll have a look at different examples of the story and possible origins of this type of spectre, as well as some of the more famous examples.
So, grab your torch and EMF meter, put batteries in your REM pod, get your camera ready, and let's get dark.
So this one was tricky to research from a factual point of view. Similar to Black Shuck and the Red Lady, there is no single source or origin story for headless ghosts, but they are a global phenomenon. Sort of. They are most commonly known in Europe and the Americas, not just because they're more prevalent here, but this just happens to be where most of the surviving accounts and legends come from. That isn't to say that they aren't just as scary or fascinating from elsewhere, though.
So, instead of giving you the full facts about the history of them, we're going to give you accounts of headless spirits and tell their individual stories when it is known who they may have been.
First things first, not all of them are ghosts. Some are spirits or fey entities, so like fairies. So we will mention this fact when we get to them. So let's start off over in Japan.
And the Prowling Head. That just sounds creepy already.
Yeah, I've kind of given them little subtitles to give us an introduction to what they are, maybe.
Ooh, that's exciting. So, this is one that is not technically a ghost. The
Nukakubi.
I could have probably tried that one. But also known as the Prowling Head, is a figure in Japanese folklore that demonstrates how wonderfully creepy their folklore is.
It really is. Japanese and Chinese folklore is just really wonderfully weird.
But also it's creepy as hell because the best horror movies come from Japan. Look at The Grudge, look at The Ring, look at Battle Royale.
World War Z.
Yeah.
Ugh. By day, the Nukakubi looks just like anybody else. It could be your neighbour, your partner, it could be you. The thing is, even if it is you, you may never actually know.
Not a fan of that. By night, however, the head of the Nukakubi detaches from the neck and flies away for dinner. What does the flying head of a Nukakubi eat, I don't hear you ask? Why? Human flesh, of course!
Obviously.
Why wouldn't they?
Once a hapless victim has been found, the flying head issues forth a scream that paralyses its victims before going in for a kill. Because if a floating head doesn't terrify you enough, a screaming one flying right at you wanting to chomp on your face will probably do the trick.
So, you're a Nukakubi. How do you tell? Well, for the most part, you can't, sorry. Most Nukakubi don't know what they are. They can maybe recall dreams of flying around, and these dreams can get pretty dark, but they won't normally actually remember it. But they can be identified if you look very closely, as a Nukakubi will have a couple of wrinkles, sometimes 3, along the base of their neck from when their head and reattaches.
So,
I'm just checking. I have lines.
Oh no, those are just folds. It's fine, those are not actual wrinkles. It's from where your skin folds a little bit and it causes a crease. I've got them too. Everyone has them. It's fine. If you don't have them, then you don't lean back or anything.
How do you know I'm not a Nukakubi?
Do you have dreams of flying around in the night?
Maybe. You don't know. You never asked.
You have
never asked me.
You have dreams of Chris Evans, and you volunteer this information readily enough.
Yeah.
You don't have wrinkles around your neck. You're fine.
Okay.
So, what do you do when you found one?
Which I have not.
Which you have not. I mean, you haven't checked me. Am I a Nukakubi?
No, that's a Nukakubi.
No, it's got a double chin. Well, you have to catch them when the head is detached. We would normally say be very sure of what you're dealing with before acting, but if you see a headless body that is still very much breathing, it could be a giveaway. You have to wait until the head has left, because otherwise you might be dinner. Once the coast is clear, destroy the body, and then the head will also be destroyed, and then bye-bye Nukukubi.
That's creepy.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to walk in and just find Ben lying on the bed with no head, still very much breathing...
It wasn't me, officer.
I got darker than I expected. If he's still breathing, we'll be fine. He's salvageable. Okay.
Right, so where are we going next, Carrie?
To China and the Xinjiang.
Cool.
I mean, it doesn't really give you an idea of what it is, but this one is very much just in the story.
Okay. So, this is again more folklore than ghost. But unlike the Nukukubi, the Xinjiang actually loses its head completely. Unlike the Nukukubi, the Xinjiang is not a species but a single creature. So there's no need to start looking suspiciously at your neighbours in China unless they are actually walking around, with heads. Or with no heads.
The legend has it that the Yellow Emperor, Huang Di, fought against a giant whose name is lost to time. The battle raged for a long time until Huang Di bested the creature and decapitated it, causing the earth to shake as the headless body fell to the floor.
But this was not the end for the giant. This is folklore after all. The giant started to fumble madly for its missing head. To stop his adversary becoming a problem again, Huang Di used his impressive power to open the mountainside, as you do, and punted the head inside, closing it up and separating head from body forever.
This failed to deter the giant, however. In a feat of bloody stubborn determination, probably literally bloody, he concentrated his will and made it so that he could see out of his nipples, and his belly button became his mouth.
That's not stubborn determination. That's changing his entire biological makeup.
We won't go into the biological implications of any of that because it's folklore.
I'm just going to drink my wine.
He got back up and became the Headless One, or Xinjiang, and continued the battle. So if you're wandering through the beautiful Chinese countryside and see an excessively large creature with no head who says hi through its navel and winks at you with a nipple, you should run. Unless you're a god or legendary emperor. I just saw you crease at that bit. The nipple is winking at me.
This is the sort of October Halloween podcast I like. Don't like serial killers. Not a fan. Alcohol drinking headless horsemen, I'm down with.
Hey, no spoilers. No spoilers about horsemen. That was a giant with nipple eyes.
Oh, I am so sorry. So, let's head over to India, shall we, Carrie, for the Headless Goddess.
Yes.
So now we move from folklore to straight up mythology, with not a monster or a spectre, but a goddess.
Chinnamasta is a goddess within the Hindu pantheon who carries her own severed head on a platter wherever she goes. Because it's just inconvenient to hold it by the hair, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The head does not simply sit there, however. It is constantly open, the mouth is constantly open, to drink the blood that sprays from her gaping neck. Sounds kind of intimidating, right?
But also, that saves mess.
It's just a form of recycling, I guess.
Yeah. She is often depicted surrounded by devotees who also drink the blood that springs from her neck. And the mythology goes that she decapitated herself for this purpose, to feed her worshippers.
I mean, she's doing a good deed.
She's being nice.
Depictions of her can be obviously shocking and violent to look at. She's carrying a severed head and there's blood spraying, and there's depictions of the blood going to her devotees. And they are often linked in with themes of death, rebirth, and sexual interactions. So you'll get the depiction of her feeding her devotees, and underneath people are performing sexual acts. So it's kind of like they're all linked, like death, rebirth, sex, all of it's linked. She's a very interesting figure, to be sure.
Yeah? I mean, kind of gross. What the hell's that word?
Right, we're going over... This is a combination of Africa and Greece with a little bit of South America. This is the acephaloi.
Fuck off, is that a cephaloi?
It is a cephaloi.
Acephaloi.
Well, PH makes a th noise. Like faux sound.
Acephaloi.
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 Now, I'm guessing this is a weird one because I can't say the word. Because the tribe mentioned does actually exist. I'm sorry if I've offended anyone.
I mean, the Cephaloi don't, but the tribe that is actually physically named does. Do you want me to just take this bit because I've just seen some of the pronunciations? Okay, so the name Cephaloi is Greek and is attributed to Herodotus in his histories, which is a useful historical account, if a bit fast and loose with the facts at times. He tells of a tribe that lives on the eastern edge of ancient Libya, later named by Roman geographer Pomponius Mela as the Blemii tribe.
They are described as being headless, with the face instead located on the chest, with the eyes on the shoulder. This is backed up by the Pliny the Elder.
Pliny the Elder, he of the volcano.
Ah, cool.
He was at Vesuvius. That's why you get a Pliny eruption. Yeah, Pliny.
He confirmed that they have, quote, no heads, their mouths and eyes being seated in their breasts. Philly places the tribe somewhere near Nubia.
Yeah, it's in Africa. Or it was in Africa. I think they've got a different name for it now. The term acephalus or acephalus is used to refer to people who are without heads but still have eyes and mouth elsewhere on the body and isn't unique to Africa. So, like, there's so many reports of this. They've actually got like a genus or a species.
Wow.
They exist in the Zoroastrian scriptures of Asia, and the Xinjiang counts as an Cephaloi, as does Donatsura in Japanese folklore. They are worth reading into a little more, as there are a lot of examples in the folklore of the Asian and African continents.
In more recent history, the Bellami's were allegedly encountered by people known to the British explorer Sir Walter Raleigh, though he claimed that from the accounts relayed to him, they lived in South America and called themselves
a Wayaponema.
Yep.
Sir John Mandeville also claimed to see the Blemii on his adventures in the 14th century. He even claimed there was another tribe on the same island with no heads and faces on their backs. His travels are actually debated though, so pinch of salt and all that, because we're not entirely sure if he went where he said he went.
So, we're now going over to Brazil with the she-donkey.
Yes. In Brazil, you may encounter the mula sem cabeça, which is a punishment spirit, so something that was created as a form of curse or divine punishment.
Legend says that there was once a farmer with a beautiful wife who was vain and sinful. As punishment for her sins, she was transformed into a headless mule with fire spewing from its neck.
No, a nice light punishment.
Yeah.
She is condemned for eternity to run the roads of rural Brazil each night after midnight until dawn. And if you get in her way, she will trample you without remorse.
She can be stopped though. If you can get close enough without being trampled, use a sharp pin to prick the hide of the mula sem cabeça and draw blood. This will cause her to turn back into a woman, but only as long as you stay alive.
So it's kind of like a temporary stay of execution for her.
Yeah.
And once your own time comes, she will turn back into the fiery headless demon donkey she was destined to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Don't know.
So
that'd be really creepy.
If you're in Brazil, firstly, don't be vain and sinful, or you will become a demon donkey.
But how vain is vain? Well, thinking you look fit, or being like, I'm the hottest thing ever for always.
I think it's like, I'm the hottest thing ever for always, and then you become a demon donkey.
Cool.
Which is, fair.
Fair. No one wants to be a demon donkey.
No.
With fire spewing from said neck.
Yeah. So, we've kind of gone from Japan and China just like down and across. So we're going to whiz back to Europe, to Ireland, and Doulahan.
This one is going to be very familiar to horror fans, though the original legend is a fairy, not a ghost.
Now, I will say we are very careful with the word fairy, and we use the word fairy in this context because that is what he has come to be known. However, what we traditionally call fairies are not necessarily like the Tinkerbell kind. They're actually the fae folk, or the Aoshi, or the hidden folk. It's a very important distinction, and if you ever meet one, may save your life. Do not call them a fairy, they do not like it. Especially this fella. In Irish folklore, you may be unlucky enough to encounter the Doulahan, or the Headless Horseman. Possibly once a god, called the Kromdu, or the Crooked One, he was relegated to the position of a fairy or demon spirit by the onset of Christianity, and he doesn't seem to have taken kindly to this fact. He is far creepier than the later legends and pop culture creations based on him.
He travels over land in one of two guises. One is in the form of a headless man astride a large horse, sometimes black and sometimes green. He holds his head in one hand, the face always distorted into a sinister grin. In his other hand, he holds a whip made from a human spine. You know, as you do.
Yeah, creepy. His other form is that of, again, a headless man, driving a coach driven by 4 large horses, again, sometimes black, sometimes green. And his head is on the seat next to him, again, always grinning.
That's creepy as shit.
The coach, you know, like the Joker style deformed, that kind of thing. The coach contains a coffin surrounded by candles and skulls. This gives an indication of one of his purposes in folklore as an omen of death, not to be confused with a psychopomp. Psychopomps are the likes of your Valkyries, Chiron in Greek mythology, the ones that ferry the souls from one side to the other, to the afterlife. He doesn't ferry your soul anywhere. He just tells you that it will soon depart.
If you see him in his coach driver form, pray he passes you by and quickly. Keep an eye on where he goes though, as it's important most where he stops. If he stops in front of a house, there will soon be a death therein. If he stops in front of you, then it's your coffin he is pulling.
But if you meet him riding on his own astride just a single horse, you may survive, but you might not want to, and you certainly won't get away easily. At the very least, he will pour a bowl of blood over your head.
Oh, that would be a bit of a bitch to get out.
His preferred thing, however, is to use his spinal whip to lash your eyes out.
I'll take the blood over my head, I can wash my hair.
Yeah.
You can defend against him though. Like a lot of creatures in Fey folklore, his weakness is metal. In his case, it's gold. He has a fear of it. So you need only show him some or throw a gold coin in his direction and he will vanish. Pity then that our current coins aren't pure gold.
No, they are very much watered down gold, so unless you actually have a genuine solid gold ring that you don't mind yeeting at an undead headless horseman, run.
I feel like if you see an undead headless horseman, you've got more problems than losing your ring.
Yeah, to be fair, and also good luck trying to outrun the horse, because the horseman might be headless, but the horse certainly ain't.
Fact.
Innit? So the above were all examples of fey or folkloric creatures, often depicted as headless. But this episode description mentioned ghosts as well, and for that we have to come home to Europe, specifically the British Isles, where we have the monopoly on headless spectres.
We'll give you a couple of examples of the most famous, but most of the time you only need to visit the nearest castle to find one hiding out in the dark recesses.
Yeah, we could have given you a long list, but we don't want to make this a long podcast. We just want to kind of talk it through. But genuinely do some research. There are some everywhere. Like, there are headless people everywhere, especially in places like France where you had the guillotine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we had the Tudor era and they were pretty keen on beheading. You will find them everywhere. Let's go over to Wales, shall we?
Yep, to the poor puppy.
Yeah.
In Aberystwyth, Wales, there is a legend of a poor dog who belonged to a young giant. One day, the young giant took his dog for a run, but with his longer legs, he soon outstripped the dog, but kept pulling on the lead, eventually feeling the dog lag behind.
He gave a sharp tug on the lead to encourage his dog to catch up, but underestimated his own strength and accidentally decapitated the dog, condemning the giant's best friend to a headless, ghostly afterlife as a form of a shuck.
That escalated.
Yeah.
But if you want to know about a shuck, we have previously done last October a Black Shuck episode called
What the Shuck?
And we may or may not have something else coming up to do with shuck in this month. I do not know. Maybe not.
Maybe. We shall see. But or not see.
Or not see.
Yeah, we don't know. But we will have to go all the way to Aberystwyth to see
that
poor
one.
puppy.
Yeah. Did your brother? That was Aberystwyth uni, wasn't it?
Yeah, my brother studied law at Aberystwyth Uni, so I don't know if he ever knew the story, and if he did, he was probably too drunk most of the time to see.
Fact.
I mean, he did once get in a bar fight by shouting at a guy, "Your mum eats Brillo pads." So he wasn't the most sober most of the time, but he still passed, and he now works for the police. So congratulations, brother.
Wow. So we're going to segue from that into England. And you mentioned the Tudors.
Yes, I did.
So we have to talk about the most infamous Tudor beheaded person?
Yeah, there are a number
Beheadee?
Yeah.
Decapitee. I like beheadee.
Well, decapitee is mentioned in a Horrible History song.
It is.
Yeah. There are a number of headless ghosts in England. Genuinely, there are loads of them. But as historians and fans of the Tudor era, it would be silly of us not to talk about our most famous decapitee, Queen Anne Boleyn.
Karen, will you shush up your phone, please?
That wasn't my phone, that was my tablet that just buzzed. I do apologise.
Why's your tablet buzzing?
I do not know. Oh, it was Facebook.
It's rude.
I know, right?
For those of you who may or may not know, Anne Boleyn was the ill-fated second wife of English monarch Henry VIII. After their marriage failed to produce a living male heir, Henry had her arrested on trumped-up charges that included adultery, incest and witchcraft. She was the queen, so the charge for adultery against the king was treason and punishable by death.
Before her time came, she had to suffer her brother and alleged lovers being beheaded too. We may do an episode on her at a later date.
We will.
We will. Okay, we will. I'm game for that. She's a fascinating figure. But on the 19th of May, 1536, she was beheaded on Tower Green at the Tower of London.
Many, including Tower guards, have claimed to see her headless ghost in the centuries since.
There are a couple of stories of guards at the Tower of London because it's still technically a royal palace, even though the royals don't actually stay there. But the crown jewels are, so it's constantly got guards. And there is a story of a guard who was walking around and he saw some lights in the royal chapel where Anne Boleyn is actually buried. And he was walking along the ramparts that allowed him through the window to look down into the chapel. And he saw a full wedding procession, and the bride walking down in a gorgeous dress was headless.
Oh.
There was a different guard as well, and there was actually the one guard it happened to, and another one was again up on the ramparts and saw it happen from a different angle. The guard was walking across Tower Green, and he saw a figure in the distance coming out of a mist, and the figure was in a long gown, like a Tudor era gown, and was walking towards him, and he realised that the figure had no head. And it kept walking towards him, and just as it stood in front of him, he felt really freezing cold. It passed through him, and he fainted. And the fact that entire story was corroborated by another guard who saw it from another angle.
That's creepy as shit.
Yeah. I have seen things I can't explain, and I have seen shadow figures and things, but I am not overly keen on the idea of seeing a headless ghost because I don't want to see that. It's bad enough in Ghosts seeing the character of Humphrey, who is headless. BBC's Ghosts. Check it out, it's great.
BBC's, not America's.
Yeah, BBC. America CBS does have a version of it, but the BBC's one is the OG version, and it's the only one that has Humphrey.
And it's better.
Yeah. Well, maybe. We haven't seen the American one, but...
Maybe?
It is better.
We're horrible history stands here.
It has the 6 idiots in, so yeah, it's better. It's better. She has also been sighted at her childhood home in Blickling Hall here in Norfolk, and we've actually done we did an
escape room in Blickling Church where she was baptised.
We visited Blickling Hall as well and did a what's the word I'm looking for? Blog.
We did do a blog. We have a blog. We haven't updated it in a while.
We were going to do a vlog as well, but you just didn't.
I did have a vlog, but I lost it.
I got a flat tyre on the way back, so we had to leave early.
I slipped on ice and almost died.
And we were going to actually walk, because there's a pyramid in the grounds that apparently if you walk around it 7 times backwards you summon the devil, and we were going to give it a go because, that's the kind of podcast we are, always interested for the interest of science. But we didn't, and we haven't yet, because then COVID was a thing. So that's another thing to do. Yeah. But yeah, so she's been sighted at Blickling Hall.
Every year on the anniversary of her execution, her ghost travels the long drive up to Blickling Hall in a coach pulled by a headless horseman, her own head in her lap. As they reach the front of the main house, the coach vanishes, dooming Anne to never go home, even in death.
That's so sad. I mean, she didn't do things. The only crime she did was that she didn't give him a live male heir.
And she was a little bit flirty, but...
Well, yeah, but, so was he.
Doesn't everyone have a bit of flanter every now and again?
Flanter?
Yep.
What is flanter?
Oh my god! Tobias made this up and I thought everyone knew. He said he made it up, but I thought it was a thing everyone knew. Flirty banter.
I mean, now that you say it makes sense.
He said flanter And now I just thought that was a thing everyone knew, but now I hate a little bit that
Flanta
Tobias made
sounds
it up.
like some weird English dessert you get along in the same aisle as spotted dick. You know, spotted dick, a little bit of cherry Flanta. Or a weird drink. Like really budget, like the Wish version of Fanta.
Flanta.
Yeah. Oh, Tobias. On the same night, another headless ghost journeys by carriage through Norfolk. Sir Thomas Boleyn, Anne's father, condemned to torment for letting his ambition send 2 of his children to the block.
His coach must drive from Blickling Hall to Aylsham, Burr, Buxton, Cotteshall, Mayton, Oxmead and Wrexham, crossing a total of 12 bridges on the way before the first cockcrow of dawn. If he makes it, his soul will be released and he can finally move on, forgiven for his sins.
Spoilers, he hasn't made it yet.
That's unfortunate.
So one of the, like in May at some point, shall we go to the bridge in Aylsham? It's the
Why
bridge
not?
over the Broads.
Yeah, it's quite nice, Aylsham. Really good at thing.
So, from England, let's go up to Scotland.
Scotland, little drama boy.
One of my favourite places on the planet. I absolutely love this city. The story, I mean, it's not as happy as that one.
So I always
bring these gifts for you, blow up on my bum.
So I went Family Guy. I brought these gifts for you, they're up in my bum.
So, headlessness. The story of the little drummer boy of Edinburgh has no shortage. I did a mom there. No, I said Edinburgh. That's
You
what
did.
my mom has
You
a really
did.
thick Brummie accent, but every so often she says words really, really Scottish because she's part Scottish and she's like, oh my god. Right. Anyway, little drummer boy of Edinburgh has no shortage of mystery. It's said that in order to try and map out the length and breadth of the tunnels beneath the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, Scotland, a young boy was sent down with his drum and told to keep walking and playing his drum so that the people above could hear where he was.
It started well. The drum was faint but could be heard, and the people above ground were able to track a good length of the tunnels below. But then the drumming stopped.
They waited a short while. He could have been taken a moment to rest his arms, but he didn't start up again. Someone went down to see if everything was okay. It was dark in the tunnels. Maybe he had fallen asleep or fallen and hurt himself. It was entirely possible. But the boy had vanished. Only it wasn't strictly a case of never to be seen again.
On a quiet night, a rarity in bustling Edinburgh, the faint sound of a drum can be heard coming from below the cobbled ancient streets of the Royal Mile.
Sometimes the spirit of the boy is seen at the castle itself, drumming on the ramparts, but his head is always missing.
He is a warning to the city, though, of a threat to the castle, and was seen in 1650, just before Oliver Cromwell launched an attack on the fortress.
If you hear him along the mile, or within the stone walls of Edinburgh Castle, say hello to the little drummer boy. But if you see his headless form walking along the castle grounds, brace yourself, because you're going to need to defend the city.
It should be said, however, that the floating head of Oliver Cromwell is said to linger far south of the city he tried to sack. Having been sighted on the campus grounds of Cambridge University, he is welcome to stay there.
Yeah, we don't want him anywhere else. Cambridge can have him.
Go away.
So, America.
America.
I've titled this one ...
Wow, that's ominous.
in it. Now, we struggled to get definitive cases of headless hauntings in America, and by struggled I mean like I was googling, binging, Ask Jeevesing like crazy to like.
Is Ask Jeeves still a thing?
No.
No.
Oh, I don't think so. But yeah, googling and binging for sure. All the way up to like the 12th page. It was really hard.
Wow.
And we struggled to get definitive cases. Now, that's not to say there aren't any. We're sure there are loads. So if any of our American listeners do know of any stories of headless hauntings, please let us know. You can contact us through Twitter. Yeah, there's a daddy long legs in the corner. We'll sort
That's
it.
huge. It's a flying spider.
We'll sort it. It's not technically an arachnid. It's only got 6 legs.
Look how huge it is. It's a really fat one.
Ignore it for now.
That comes at me.
If
Oh,
it come-
where the hell's it gone?
If it comes, it's just gone around the corner. If it comes at you, I will protect you.
No, it's on the TV.
It's okay. It's just going.
It's getting
forward.
closer.
It's fine. You will be safe. You will be safe. I'm sorry, people.
Oh yeah, podcast.
If
Sorry.
any of our American friends contact us on our socials, so we've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
We do have TikTok now.
Handles all at Cup of History, or you can email us cupofhistory@outlook.com. And
Yes.
we will mention this at a later episode because we want to know. So if you are in America or the Americas, like North, South, Canada, then please let us know if you know of any headless hauntings in your area.
Yes, please do, because our searches did keep bringing us back, however, to the same story, and it is a good chance for us to reference how the idea of the headless spectre has cropped up in popular culture. We are, of course, talking about the Washington Irving novel, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Dun dun dun! I mean, we couldn't do a Headless Ghost episode and not mention the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
We could not.
This delightfully dark Gothic tale does skillfully interweave historical fact and fiction to create the story of a Hessian horseman condemned following his death during the Revolutionary War to a headless afterlife where he tormented the denizens of Sleepy Hollow, New York, including a visiting intrepid explorer, one Ichabod Crane.
His story has roots in many local and European folk tales of headless spirits enacting deadly revenge from beyond the grave.
We won't spoil the story for you, though, and we would encourage you to read the book or watch the 1999 Tim Burton movie adaptation that stars Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci and Christopher Walken. It is a good film.
I feel like we need to watch that. It is October after all.
It is. That could be our tomorrow night movie.
It can be if we get to watch Hocus Pocus 1 and 2 today.
We shall do our best. There is a TV series called Sleepy Hollow. It's an American series. It does play fast and loose with the story, but it is fun to watch, and there's a lot of like little historical references to correct some inaccuracies, which is good. I approve of that. Plus, the guy that plays Ichabod Crane is chef kiss.
Yeah, I didn't watch Sleepy Hollow, but I saw the episode where they joined Bones.
Yeah, there's a Bones and crossover, and that was actually really, really good. But so that is our Headless episode.
They're creepy. Which do you think is the creepiest? Who would you not want to come across?
I would not want to come across a Doulahan. The others are they're still alive, but the Doulahan is a fae and he's very, very angry, so I would rather not.
I don't know, I think the Shang-Chi and...
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The Xing-Chan.
Look, Harry, I've tried. I would... If Shang-Chi wants to come to my house, you know what?
I'm game.
Simu Liu wants to come over here to help me.
That's it, but welcome in, mate. Welcome in. We will cook you whatever you want. We'll get you beer. We will get you if you're a wine drinker. That's fine. Come and have a beer with us, mate. Come and have a chat.
But I would not want to come across the
Xing-Chan,
yeah, or the
Nekakobi.
Yeah.
You don't fancy being winked at with a nipple?
No. Shockingly enough, nipples are weird enough without them being eyes.
I think that should be like the episode tag. Winked at with a nipple. Oh, gosh.
Or spoken to through a belly button.
Yeah,
that's also strange.
That would be a bit weird. Wouldn't you just want to go up and poke it?
No.
To be fair, I would probably have that much irreverence for each of them that I would probably be killed outright. Anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
So, we are hopefully coming back with a potentially live episode.
We are. We are hopefully bringing out an episode every week in October.
That's the plan.
We are having to pre-record a couple because I'm going to Florida.
Rude.
So we've recorded 2 today and we've got 2 more to go, and one of them we hope is a live episode. We're just trying to figure out logistics.
Yeah. It involves some
timings.
Yeah. And we're very, very busy at the moment, or we will be very busy soon, with panto and musical rehearsals as well. So
and the murder mystery that I'm in.
Yeah, and the murder mystery that Em's in, because she's so greedy, she has to have 3 parts.
It's not my fault.
It's not your fault that you're so castable. Yeah. So tune in next time. Stay tuned, see what we do, and if you want to either tell us some spooky ghost stories, or you want to give us an idea for what we could do at a later date as an episode, then let us know. And feel free to have a look back through all of our other spooky episodes. A Dark Cup of History.
Yes.
You'll recognise them because they are marked with a letter rather than number, like our other episodes.
Except our very first one that we did a couple in our first year on Halloween. We did a Origins of Halloween called Hello, Eve Been Expecting You.
Apple ow, apple ow, apple ow.
Where we will say we were not sober when recording that episode.
No,
we were not.
It was a good one though.
It's really good. So have a listen. But now, that brings us to our
Ridiculous
feature. Ridiculous Death, where we discuss someone who took themselves out of the gene pool in a hilarious or downright stupid, ridiculous manner. So whom does we have this week, oh Carol?
This week we have Charles VIII of France. Charles VIII was the son of Louis XI, King of France, and he reigned from 1483 to 1498.
So not very long though, really.
Not very long, no. He was only in his 20s when he died. And in keeping with today's theme, it was a head-related death.
Oh.
In 1498, so he was on his way to watch a game of what they call jeu de paume, which is tennis.
Ah.
And he was escorting his lady wife to it.
Yeah.
You alright?
And he did a really high pitch.
Fair enough. So he was taking his missus to go and see a tennis game, and on the way there, he struck his head on the lintel of a door. Seemed to be perfectly fine, everything was alright, except for around 2 o'clock that afternoon, whilst returning from the game, he fell into a coma and then died a few hours later. So he
hit his head on the door frame?
Yeah, hit himself head on the door frame, caused a head injury, and later died. All for a game of tennis.
That's really ironic.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that door had been there long enough that he knew where the door frame was.
That's why it's good to be short. Everyone takes the piss that I am vertically challenged, but I'm always too short to hit my head on a door frame.
This is true, unless it's a very small door frame.
It would have to be a very small door.
Or you want a piggyback.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I could give you a piggyback, but we both fall over backwards. Because, I have bad balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm me.
And, yeah, we're just clumsy anyway.
We are.
Yeah. Right, let's not do that.
No, let's not. Let's go. We have a lovely pork casserole cooking. We have a nice glass of wine to finish.
And
we have Hocus Pocus 2 to watch. So, enjoy this episode. Enjoy the next coming 2 episodes. Stay spooky. Stay dark.
Bye. Why do I do that?
I don't know.